A very anticipated Nintendo mobile game for 2019 has recently had its closed beta, in which applicants are not allowed to share any photos or videos of the gameplay, and obviously that's what ended up happening. A swarm of videos and images flooded YouTube and other social media platforms, prompting Nintendo to issue copyright takedowns of any videos on YouTube containing gameplay of Mario Kart Tour. That's why in this video I'm not going to be able to share any videos or images because I don't want to get taken down like that. What I am going to do though is give my thoughts on all the information that we know about the game so far, the good, bad, and what's been getting a lot of attention recently, the ugly. Now I do want to stress here that this is a beta of a game that I'm giving my thoughts on in this video, and obviously everything about it isn't done and complete yet. Before somebody goes down in the comment section and says, oh, you can't give your thoughts about this game, it's unfinished, you can't complain about it yet, well yes, I can give my thoughts on everything that we've seen and heard so far, in the same way that people give their thoughts on a trailer for a new Nintendo game that Nintendo drops themselves. And think about it, this game is supposed to release in September of this year. If you don't like one of the core fundamental aspects of the game, it's likely not going to get entirely overhauled just because of that short time frame. It's only a few months away, and obviously if there's some minor aspect of the game that you don't like, it definitely has a chance to be changed. But I do believe that some of the core fundamentals are locked in. Before we get started, if you're new here and want to stay up to date on the latest videos and information concerning Mario Kart Tour and other things Nintendo as well, consider subscribing and ticking the bell icon so that you do not miss anything. And with that all being said, let's get started. Just so that I don't come off as entirely bashing the game, let's start off with the good things that I do like about Mario Kart Tour. The graphics are something that has definitely surprised me. I didn't expect that good of graphics from a Mario Kart game on mobile, but from the images that we've seen of it so far that have been leaked out, the graphics do look pretty nice. Obviously there is some to be desired, but it has definitely impressed me for a mobile game, likely due to my lower expectations. Another thing that I like about Mario Kart Tour is that there's a large amount of characters. This is always something that I appreciate from Mario spin-off titles, considering that I want a large variety of characters to play as I'll get bored if I'm playing the same character over and over again. However, as I've mentioned on Twitter a couple times, I do have some problems with the character roster that I'm going to address in a little bit. But on the whole, I'm glad there's a lot of options. Another thing I'm glad about concerning a lot of options is the item selection. There's a lot of items returning from Mario Kart 8 and other Mario Kart games in the past, such as Double Dash for example. Items such as the Bowser shell are returning from Double Dash, which is something that's very exciting to me. Some weird thing about the items is that some of them are exclusive to certain characters in the game, which is another problem that I'm going to have to address. I do feel that it's kind of an issue that in the positive section I'm addressing these things, but also have to leave a footnote at the end to address them as a negative as well. Another thing that I like about Mario Kart Tour is that it's including a challenge system where it's an incentive for you to go on and play the game every day. While it's kind of an overused concept in modern times, it's always nice to have a reason to go on and play the game. You are likely to use this challenge mode as an incentive, such as, oh man, I've got to go get this reward today because I'm not going to be able to get it tomorrow. It seems like you'll be able to do something like that in Mario Kart Tour. But with the good stuff out of the way, I'd like to move on to the stuff I don't like as much and I would hope to be improved for the future, although some of it probably won't be. I already brought up the characters thing a little bit earlier, so I might as well point out some of the stuff that I don't like about the characters right now. This is sort of a gacha system for characters. What I mean by that is there's an unlockable system for characters where you'll have to pay a certain amount of money to unlock a certain character, and some of them are rarer than others, obviously, leading to more incentive to spend more of your real life money on the game for a chance of getting a certain character. Now, I said in the past that I would want a microtransaction system in Mario Kart Tour, and I still think it's a good idea, because that's how mobile games thrive. However, I don't like when microtransactions are overbearing, and some of the information that's come out about Mario Kart Tour has suggested exactly that is the case. And this gacha system for characters is an exact example of this, having you be able to unlock certain characters that have certain statistical advantages over others. And this relates to the items point that I was saying earlier. Some items are exclusive to certain characters, and that means that if you don't have a certain character unlocked, you can't use another item, one that's returning from the past that you really enjoy, and you might have to resort to paying real life money for a higher chance of getting a certain item or certain advantage in a race. It's not just cosmetic things that you're paying for real statistical advantages over another player. And one last thing about the characters, I really don't like how Nintendo has seemingly not learned anything from Mario Kart 8. I pointed out in a tweet that there's a large number of characters in the roster who are babies and Koopalings, something very present in the Mario Kart 8 roster. Obviously, this could be made up for with the additions of some fan favorite characters that people really want to see, but as of right now, there aren't many of those characters included. Well, you might say, well, you shouldn't expect a lot of characters in the roster, it's a mobile game, and you would be right with that. I didn't expect a lot of characters to be in the roster, but now that we know there's over 30 characters in the game, and the fact that 12 of those spots are taken up with Koopalings and baby characters, that's pretty alarming to me. I love the Koopalings as much as the next guy, but if your roster's not huge like that of Mario Super Sluggers where you have 70 plus characters, you can't really afford to spend 7 spots on them. The majority of the baby characters I think are an absolute waste of time. Baby Rosalina wasn't even in a main Mario game. I think the only ones that should be included if any are Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. Maybe Peach is a third one, but that's gotta be it. You've gotta cap it off at 3. Now I mentioned a little bit earlier in the characters section that some people would have advantages over others when playing against them. However, it seems like you may not be able to play with other people at all. Believe it or not, Mario Kart, a game that thrives on its multiplayer and it's one of the main components of the gameplay. It's the component of the gameplay that I most enjoy. If Mario Kart was solely a single player experience, I probably wouldn't be a big fan of it at all. But it seems like for Mario Kart Tour, you're not going to be able to actually play against other people. Game Explained and some other gaming outlets who had access to the beta brought this up, and it seems like you cannot actually play against other people, and it's just their profiles that are being used as CPU players in a race. So you're racing against CPUs, but the game is trying to make you think that you're racing against real people. It could just be a thing for the beta, but if this sticks around for the main gameplay, and there's some evidence that I'll go over a little bit later for why it will, it's not going to be a very good thing. I thought that one of the big aspects of appeal of Mario Kart Tour and something that would be able to grow it in popularity is the fact that you could just pull out your phone with somebody next to you and race against them. But it looks like that might not be able to happen. Something that people may not like is the fact that the game is set in a vertical mode. I thought, and obviously almost everybody thought, that it would be a horizontal form of gameplay and you'd be able to tilt your phone back and forth to steer. But that's obviously not the case because you play it vertically. That wasn't the biggest deal breaker for me. It was only after I found out some of this other information that I started to get upset about the game. Oh yeah, and about the steering aspect, it looks like that may be one of the only things that you could do to control your kart because auto accelerate is on at all times. This is a feature where basically the gas is pressed all the time, so now you don't have to do that anymore. It's kind of like Mario Run where Mario was just constantly running all the time. This wasn't the biggest deal to me because I get that the control inputs are very limited on mobile and you'll probably have to use your finger to swipe for items and stuff like that. By the way, I failed to mention in the item section, you can now use 3 of them, which is pretty interesting. I didn't really want to put this as a positive or a negative because it's something that I'd really like to test out and play for myself first. It seems very interesting and at least it's innovative, but the last negative thing that I want to go over is how Mario Kart Tour severely limits your playtime. This is one of those games where you're only allowed to race a certain amount of times and then you'll have to pay real money in order to be able to race more. This is a classic strategy from mobile games to either tempt you into paying or increase your anticipation to go and play the game again with the use of a timer to prohibit you from playing. Now obviously if the gameplay isn't great, you're probably not going to have as much of an incentive to want to go back, but if they improve upon it from some of the things that we've heard so far and I've gone over within this video, then you may be incentivized to go and play it some more, especially with the challenges included within it. And if that's the case, then them locking you out and prohibiting you from playing is a really bad idea. Much of this information about Mario Kart Tour reminds me a lot about another one of Nintendo's mobile games, Fire Emblem Heroes. Now Heroes made a lot of money for them and it's still going pretty strong. It still has a fairly active player base to this day. But there are many clear comparisons that I could draw between these two games, which makes me think that a lot of changes that people could probably see happening probably won't. The gacha system for characters as in Fire Emblem Heroes, as you could summon people. Fire Emblem Heroes limits your playtime with the use of the stamina. Some characters are more powerful than others. Now I get that Fire Emblem is a strategy RPG and it kind of makes sense for certain characters to be stronger than others so that you could level them up. This isn't as big of a deal for me for that game because it's kind of designed around that concept. However, for Mario Kart Tour I think it could be a bad idea, considering that the market they're going for is pretty different here, and it's more of an action-based game. But another big comparison between Mario Kart Tour and Fire Emblem Heroes is that you actually play against CPUs. In the arena mode in Fire Emblem Heroes, when you play against somebody else, you're actually playing against their profile and the CPU controls for them. And this is the exact same thing that we're seeing in the closed beta for Mario Kart Tour, which makes me think that this isn't just a thing for the beta and it's going to end up sticking around. That could be a big concern for people, and it's a big concern for me as well. Multiplayer is something that I really value. It'll be interesting to see what Nintendo's next move is concerning Mario Kart Tour. Are they going to make some changes that people want to see and have been asking for since this information has come out? Or are they going to stick to their guns here? If you make everything a blatant cash grab, people are going to turn against it. Just look at what happened with Battlefront 2. EA was absolutely roasted over that game, and it sparked some changes. I hope either it doesn't turn out as bad as it's seeming to be, or fans will speak up and change will end up happening. E3 is just a few weeks away, so maybe Nintendo could talk about Mario Kart Tour a little bit there, and I am going to be starting my prediction videos about E3 pretty soon. Just remember to subscribe and click the bell icon so that you don't miss any of those. Thank you so much for watching this one. Check out some of the previous Mario Kart videos that I've made, such as the one where I go over what's next for the mainline Mario Kart titles. And with all that being said, I'll see you next time.